All right. Yeah, can you all hear me? Okay, I'm going to be brief about this. Um, welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. And to those that will be joining or watching later, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. As we all know, this is a mental health month, and uh, a lot is happening and but particularly want to focus on the men's mental health is very important. I'd had calls to see, men trip and died instantly, you know, everywhere. About 2 weeks ago or thereabouts, another young man still died. Just like that, we're in a cab together, and then he placed his head on the seats, and that was how he was gone. And that tells you that there are a lot of people that are battling issues, that are going through a lot. A lot of men are going through so much. That's why we need to talk about it. Okay, we want to talk about boundaries, especially the boundaries for men, boundary setting, how to create this emotional peace. Because you see, in this side of the world, in this culture, in many cultures in Africa, where men are expected to endure emotional pressure um, silently, absorb the burden of others. We're built to remain strong regardless of personal cost. But however, man has a fundamental right to emotional peace. It's a right, something we must ensure that we put in order. So when I talk about emotional boundaries, so many people have asked me this question: How do I set emotional boundaries? Or what is it like? Well, you need to understand it first, because you can't set a proper things right if you don't have a deep understanding of it. Some people have even thought that emotional boundaries create a lot of gaps, but that's not true. And I'll tell you today what emotional boundaries actually do. So all our emotional boundaries, they are not walls that shut people out. No, they are not walls. They are healthy limits that protect a person's mental and emotional well-being. You see that? It is a healthy limit that protects your mental and emotional well-being. They are not walls. Mm, You get to understand what I mean as we go on. So so what a man will accept, what a man will tolerate and engage with emotionally, that's what it's all about. A man's right to emotional peace means that he has the right to say no to emotional manipulation, being shamed for being vulnerable. If I cried and said, "Why am I behaving like a woman?" We must know that we have right to say no. We have the right, okay, to say no to emotional manipulation, to disrespect, and to unnecessary drama. That's your right. You have the right to withdraw from conversation or from relationships that consistently damage your mental health. It's very important. If I have a relationship that keeps damaging my mental health, emotional boundary is saying you have the right to stop that conversation or stop that relationship. You equally have the right to express your feeling without being shamed or being vulnerable. can express my feeling. There's no shame there. We are carrying this burden, and it's becoming a norm. I hear messages, different messages, and then you get baffled. Where is this coming from? Yes, a man carries responsibility, but you should know when you are nearing your break, I mean, your break limits. You should know when you are getting to that point where you can't absorb any further. It's very, very important. You should know your limits. Don't break because you're trying to man up for everybody. And the reality of it all is you don't get it all sorted out because you're not Jehovah. So you have the right to express your feeling, you have the right to rest and to recover and to protect your emotional energy. You have the right to carry responsibilities that does not not to carry responsibility that belongs to others. You have that right. You have the right to be treated with dignity, with respect, and with consideration. So a man's, many men actually struggle because they have boundary issue. They have boundary issues. They have not learned how, to set an appropriate boundary. That's what we come to do today. We struggle because many of us, our boundaries have failed or we have failed to enforce them. So, emotional peace is not achieved by controlling others. It is achieved by clearly communicating your limits, communicating consistently. Is achieved by clearly communicating limits and consistently honoring them. Now, there is that word consistently that you mentioned, and I want to climb on it. So, people will think you are still joking when you are one on, one off. They think you are still joking, and then they see you as one of the Santa Claus. Consistency is one of the things that brings stability. When I joined my work, I entered a space that was so unstructured, a space that was so chattered, everybody does what they like. And then I started implementing some structures, bringing in some rules to help maintain, okay, an orderly environment. And it met with a lot of restriction, met with a lot of backlashing, met, with a lot of sabotaging. But I never give in to that pressure. I stayed on that lane. This is what I want. Except you don't want me here again. This is what I want. I have several examples of this. But I eventually discovered that if I have backed down to what they want, now I've become a coward. So I was consistent in what I was dealing with. This is what I want. I need this document. I need this documentation. I keep emphasizing and re-emphasizing it. I wasn't hurting anybody about it. There are times we'll be in the meeting and I'll tell them, you guys are trying really well. You guys are trying, but you really know there's still some knots to tie. We need to tidy up this documentation issue. It's very vital. It's for your own safety also. So consistency uh, is so honoring. With time, they get to understand that this person is not going to back down. They tried all they could. They tried all they could. Someone came to me and said, some of your past predecessors, they've tried what you want to do and it's actually not working. They said there's a system here from the top management, so it can't work. It is not you that will change it. I said, okay, I agree with you, but I will try my best. And it will be in a record that David tried his best. Consistency. I was consistently hammering on him. So, a man who has value his emotional peace, such man understand that I can love people without allowing them to disturb my inner stability. I can care deeply without carrying burdens that are not mine to bear. Doesn't mean I don't care. And many of us we've been pushed into these emotional manipulations. When people come to you and because they're not getting what they expect, they tell you you don't care. That has been you. Ah, even when you cut your hair to give a man, it can never be satisfactory. You know the idea. You know the whole. The funny thing in all is that no matter what you do for a man, the day you do one single error, 99 good, one single error, every of the good you have done is forgotten. That one error prevails over the 99 goods. So why kill yourself? You must be able to let them know that you love people, but you're not going to allow them to disturb your inner peace. You care deeply without carrying burdens that, you know, are not yours to bear. A healthy emotional boundaries, they create space for better relationship, improve mental health, greater self-respect, character decision making. I mean, clearer decision making and sustainable leadership and caregiving. So ultimately, emotional peace is not selfish. It is necessity. It is a necessity. A man who protects his emotional well-being is better equipped to love, to lead, to serve, and support others effectively. So your kindness should be limitless, but access to your emotional space should have boundary. They should have boundary. Okay. Um, Let me say this also. How many men are here that have ever carried a burden that wasn't theirs simply because they felt they have no choice? When was the last time you gave yourself permission to say, this is too much for me? When was the last time? Hmm? You can share in the comments. Okay, you can share it in the comments. I want to know when was the last time you give yourself to, permission to say this is too much for me. Share your story or personal experiences or relatable scenario of a man overwhelmed by family, overwhelmed by work, overwhelmed by financials or relational pressure. You see a man doing three, four jobs just to cope up with the family, and then they get exhausted, they get overwhelmed. Before you know it, they are gone in their early days, exhausted by family demand, excuse me, relationship pressures. Many men are taught to protect everyone. Who protects the protector? Who protects the protector? So you must learn to know that, see, emotional peace is not absence of problem. It is not avoiding responsibility. It is not emotional numbness. Emotional peace is emotional balance. It is self-awareness. It is healthy responses to stress. Self-awareness. You are aware of yourself. You know your breaking limits. You know what you can do. You know what you cannot do to create that peace within you. The self-awareness, emotional balance. You must be balanced emotionally. I've come to a point even in my relationship that Nothing triggers me anyhow anymore. Gone to that point where even when there are arguments or chaos, I can stand in the midst of that argument and still be myself. Many men don't are not themselves when arguments occur. And so the next thing they say, just walk away, okay? Just walk away to get your balance. That's fine. But the next dynamic stage of taking charge emotionally is when you can stand in the midst of that argument or that chaos and still maintain your peace. So, like I said before, so emotional boundary is not a fence that protects a property. They protect your mind, they protect your emotion, they protect your values, they protect your energy. So many common boundaries that have been violated is majorly in the family. Boundaries have been violated. We try setting boundaries, but it's not moving, especially in the family. Being expected to solve everyone's problem is a violation. Financial expectation is a violation. Emotional manipulations, constant criticism can damage you. It's a violation of your boundary. Lack of respect is a damage. And then at workplaces, you have unrealistic expectations and targets, and then being unable to say no. That makes it so critical. These are boundaries breaking. These are things that damage boundaries. One-sided relationship, like in friendship, damages boundary. Constant emotional dumping, you've been turned into a dumping ground. So when there's any fuse, they dump the emotional, it is you. So why do men struggle with boundaries? Because we have been taught not to cry. We a man must always be strong. A man must endure everything. And because of this, many men are burnt out, many men are depressed, many men are angry, emotional withdrawal, difficulties. Okay, many men are withdrawn because the pressure, had climbed on of them. It is when your heart is at peace that you can do things, that you can thrive emotionally. If your heart is at peace, you can thrive. Okay, you can thrive. We've seen women that had several complaints. My husband is this, my husband is that, and that, and that, and that. But the question is, has that man find peace? Has that man find peace? There are ways we go about things. It's unfortunate that many of us in relationship don't even know how to better communicate to win or to win an argument. We don't know how to better communicate to win our partners. We just nag and say horrible things and say hurtful things. Okay? So there are signs that you will know that your boundaries are weak as a man. Number one, if you feel guilty saying no, your boundaries are weak. Number two, if you're constantly drained, if you feel constantly drained, your boundaries are weak. If you avoid difficult conversations, your boundaries are weak. If you feel responsible for everyone's happiness, your boundaries are weak. If people constantly or frequently take advantage, of your kindness, your boundaries are weak. So if your answer is yes to several of these questions, boundaries may need to be strengthened. What are those practical tools to build emotional boundary? Number one, learn to say no. Number two, separate support from rescue. Support people, don't carry them. Support people, don't carry them. Separate support from rescue. Protect your time. That's not the third one. Every commitment costs emotional energy. Listen again. Every commitment costs emotional energy. Protect your time. Time that are not put to appropriate use are time that constitute evil days on our part. He said, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Go and check your life. Anytime you see that an evil occur, anytime you see that things happen to you, crisis occur, it's because of the time that you never put to appropriate use. Protect your time. Communicate expectations clearly. I'm willing to discuss this, but not if we are shouting. When you are done, let me know. We can discuss this. But not when we're shouting. Communicate expectation clearly. Then give yourself permission to rest. Rest is not laziness. Rest is maintenance. Unfortunately, many of us, we are built to walk and walk and walk. And then you see, quoting the scriptures, a man that's not walk, and all that and all that. Even Jesus rested. God rested. After creating everything on the seventh day, he said, I must rest today. You need a time to rest. It's not laziness, both to men and women. Okay, need a time to rest. Let me close this because I just want to spend 30 minutes here. Okay, so um, men, as you go, I want you to take this home as a practice or interactive section. Okay, for everyone that will be watching this, you need to ask this question. Number one, you need to know one person or situation that frequently disturb your inner peace. Identify it. What is that one person or situation that frequently disturb my emotional peace? What is that one person, one boundary that I need to establish? And also identify one action you will take this week. So let me close with this. For closing, the strongest man are not those who carry everybody. No. The strongest man knows which burden belong to them and which burden does not belong to them. You are not built to carry every burden. There are burden that is meant for someone with a stronger capacity than you to carry, and that is God. That is why He's El Shaddai. You are not El Shaddai. You carry what does not belong to you, you shall die. So, if you have right to emotional peace, protecting that peace is not selfish. It is stewardship. It is accountability. When your mind is healthy, your family benefits, your work improves, your relationship grows stronger, your purpose becomes clearer. So that's that about today. Um, we'll be continuing in this stage and then we'll be discussing a lot more others in this space on mental health and on trauma healing. And then for those that want to reach out, you could reach out to me, you know, through this channel. You could reach out to me through a WhatsApp number. Okay, 08034461947. You could call me if you're in the space in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. You know the you know the um you know what to add to start the to dial the number. Okay. Many men struggle with boundaries not because they are weak, but because they learnt early in life that their values came from meeting everyone's need. And it's about time we understand that we can carry everyone on our shoulder. Thank you once again, everyone. It's been a pleasant time. Um, if you have questions in this direction, you could let me know. I'll be glad to answer it after now. Um, Thank you once again. Do have a wonderful time and a great week ahead. Happy Mental Health Month of June. See you at the other side, bouncing, filled with hopes and excitement again. Because you see, the journey is still far, and we need to be strengthened to be able to carry through. For now, let's sign up again. Bye.